chapter 20, I have to be honest, feels kind of quiet. Maybe a little more reflective, but it does carry weight. Paul is continuing to learn that there are plots against him. So he travels back to Macedonia to strengthen the believers in those previous communities. Those are the people he once met as strangers, but now he's returning to them. There's something kind of tender about that. He doesn't just plant churches, he revisits the people in them. And then there's this guy in the story we meet named Eutychus. Don't skip over this section of chapter 20. His name means lucky. There's irony in that. And it was actually, we should know, a pretty common name for slaves from our understanding from historians. So during one of Paul's long sermons, we read that Eutychus falls asleep, falls out of a window, and hits the ground. He falls 3 stories to the ground. It's almost kind of a humorous moment in the middle of this epic journey. And maybe that's some intentional comic relief from the author. A reminder that this story includes ordinary people, people who are tired, people who are young and sit in windows. You can picture this, can't you? We read that Paul goes down to where Eutychus fell and he embraces him. And then he declares, "Do not be alarmed." Yeah, right, you can imagine everybody thinking. But then Paul tells us he's alive. We don't know if this was a miracle or just a misunderstanding, but it's an ordinary moment with a boy who had a common name. And it matters. That boy, he mattered. Maybe it's a reason for us to pause here and wonder where an everyday interruption might matter for us. Then we see in verse 13 that Paul starts to say goodbye. Now, this is the only extended speech that he gives to believers rather than those he was seeking to teach about Jesus. And at the heart of this farewell, we can't miss this line. "Compelled by the Spirit, I am going to Jerusalem, not knowing what will happen to me there." And from this man that we've been following from town to town, that's courage. It's not certainty. It's not clarity. It's his passionate obedience to the message of Jesus. Paul tells them they won't see him again. And this group of elders, they are very sad. They grieve. They embrace him. They kiss him. They're sad for themselves as they think about this next phase of Paul's journey. And as you read chapter 20 today, notice that Paul doesn't list all of his accomplishments or count the number of converts when he's giving his farewell moment. He points to Jesus, to the good news of God's grace. He encourages these elders. He commissions them. He reminds them they're ready. God has prepared them just like God prepared him. Paul lived the message of grace that he preached, and now he releases them to carry it forward. And maybe that's what faithfulness looks like. It's not building a platform around yourself, but building up people. Maybe this life as a Jesus follower is about empowering communities, about meeting people outside the gates of the city at the river, as well as at busy marketplaces, about asking questions and being vulnerable, and under the banner of God's grace and love, trusting the Spirit to guide what comes next.